elephant.
Oh, people like elephant. Oh, I kind of put that one up. I was like, oh, what's something that's a little different than I usually do? And it's like, oh, how about a baby elephant? Why not? I've had so many requests for elephants. Some people know I love elephants. I have seen them many times in the wild, visiting throughout Botswana and South Africa, etc. I like to go see animals where they live naturally, and I have seen, I think, hundreds, believe it or not, of baby elephants in the wild before. I love them. They're one of my favorite animals. Even though they try to get me
lower
once.
lip in the world.
What's that, baby?
They have the cutest lower lip in the world.
They do. I finished this one up when we were setting up, but you can see his little mouth. He's so cute. Still might be a bit wet. And then, so that will, the Cruella one will be in roughly a little over, 50 minutes or whatever it is when it's 5 o'clock here. And then we have another one of the hardcover Forever Strange books. It's my new coffee table art book. I don't even know how many hundreds of pages of full color, lovely artwork.
Jasmine will be happy to sign it, and I can sign it.
I will sign it, and Maddie will sign it, because Matt actually has written a short story that's in here.
Yes,
so it makes sense that he signs it. It's not just because he's on Twitch or Married to Me.
Yeah, so.
But it's got a lot of my paintings in here. I think around 200 paintings, I forget.
It's a bunch.
Yeah, it's neat. And there's short stories and poetry written by my two sisters, both of whom are authors. And in the back I've got little blurbs about every painting in it. You can buy this also. It's Amazon and Barnes & Noble and all that. Yeah.
L. Hertz wants to know, will Jasmine be able to make prints out of the mini paintings? And also Ren Girl asks, will the elephant be a print at some point?
Maybe not of this
at least
one.
When those, huh?
Yeah, when it's a painting that's 2 inches high, I can't make it into our smallest prints that we do as prints, like on the website, are 8x10. So if it's something smaller than 8x10, it's really pushing it even for like a 5x7 to get that big. So when it's something that's about 1/20th the size of our smallest print, I'm not going to be making prints out of that. Also, it would be nightmarish to keep up with the paperwork and the copyrights and everything, like filing the legal stuff to make prints from a tiny little painting when I did dozens of them that week. That would just be too crazy. But when I do little paintings like this, often it's a study for a painting I might do in the future. Like if I do a little one and I like how it looks, I might do a larger version of it. And people are digging the elephant one, so maybe I have been thinking about doing this as an idea for a painting. So these are kind of like sketches in a way. So I'll do a little one, maybe I'll do a bigger painting, like an actual painting, a big one, and we would make prints of that. We do make what we call ACEO cards, like many artists do. It's art cards, editions, and originals, where we make one tiny little canvas print.
People are saying maybe postcard size. I think they're talking about mini.
Oh, the mini prints that we have at shows? Probably not. Those are different because we have to get them made at a printer. We don't make those ones in-house. So that the logistics of trying to make this into a printed one when we have to hire a printer to make those it would be, yeah, I'd spend weeks on it, and then it's like, hey, in the meantime I did 25 other paintings, so it wouldn't make a lot of sense. But I'll make an ACEO card, which I'll make one of those, so that's always something you can bid on eBay. But again, I often look at these smaller paintings as being studies for bigger paintings I might do in the future, or vice versa. Sometimes there's a character I like in a bigger painting, and I'll do a little portrait of them. And if so, I will definitely let you guys know. I'm happy you guys like the elephant. I thought he was kind of cute, and I was like,
he's very cute. We're at 75 viewers, and it's 4:13 p.m.
Yay! So right now I am working on, I finished that one. I've got 4 paintings going on. Oh yeah, there's one more raffle. Last one is a pin, and it is a pin from the Kansas City Renaissance Festival, Strangely Lonely. This was the Kansas City Renaissance Fair 2018, so last autumn. This was the pin that we had at our booth. And you can't get her anywhere else unless you found somebody else willing to give theirs up. And you can get her here. Yep.
2 questions.
Yep.
What are ACEO cards anyways? And also, how about an elephant pin?
Maybe so. ACEO card stands for Art, Cards, Editions, and Originals. Some people call them ATCs, Artist Trading Cards. They've been made since, I believe, the 1930s.
Thank you, Kazamaka.
And they are 2.5 by 3.5 is the only requirement, and they have to be either handmade or hand-embellished limited editions or originals. So that means they're tiny little things. If you search the word ACEO, the ones I do, I've had a bunch of broadcasts up here at Twitch when I actually make the cards. If you're interested in the process, look at my archives on YouTube or up here at Twitch. They are tiny little canvas prints, and I make one of each painting I do, whether it's a big painting, a little square painting. I've got to make it 2.5 by 3.5 and usually end up cutting off part of their face or something, but when they are 2.5 by 3.5, which is approximately the size of like this painting here. They're made out of canvas. I make one print of them on canvas that are the same size because you don't want to make a little painting big. When you make a little painting really big, it looks all blurry and you can see all the cat hair and dust in it and fingerprints, and nobody wants to look at that, which is why I don't take a painting like this and make a poster of it. It would not make any sense. So when I have an ACEO card, I make one of each one, numbered 1 out of 1. We'll talk about numbering a bit later because I'm going to talk about my masterpiece editions when I work on those. And they're printed, it looks just like that, but it's a tiny little canvas that is printed after I've scanned in the original painting. I paint little details, like when you see the ACEO card, she might have a different amount of flowers in her hair, or maybe there'll be some leaves in the background or something like that. And those are ones that we auction off at eBay.
Jasmine.
Yep, because there's only one. I don't know.
Are there any current ACEOs up on eBay?
I don't think so. I think the last batch of them went up like a week or 2 ago. I usually put them up maybe once or twice a month. Right now on eBay are the number 5s of the masterpiece editions we mentioned earlier. There's a couple of those, and also the number 1 of Innsmouth Mermaid, which I think a lot of you folks out on Twitch watched me paint the original, and the number 1 is up for auction for Innsmouth Mermaid. She's the Cthulhu mermaid, like in front of the town of Innsmouth.
She's pretty cool.
And then the number 5 will go up for auction right after that, because the editions in between number 2, 3, and 4 have already sold out to Patreon people. So we only have the number 1 and the number 5. I couldn't really put it on the website to buy the limited editions because they were already sold out before I was done painting her. We will be talking about those a bit later, and thank you to all of you last Tuesday who tuned in or participated in for 0.8 seconds or whatever it was on my website when we had the mini paintings go up for sale from the last one. They were interesting. Thank you for your patience. Yes, I just basically hit refresh and they all were there, and I saw all these orders for like the same paintings over and over again because our software was not equipped to handle that amount of traffic in that short of time.
Right.
Yeah.
It was a shopping cart thing.
So we had our website administrator look at the website, change some things in the shopping cart. So this coming Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time when we pop up the new ones, and there will be quite a few. They shouldn't let more than one person buy the same painting because there's only one of them. So that should be working, and as I was worried about that not working because I've dealt with selling mini paintings in the past, and it's usually things like in real life when people just wake up at 5 o'clock and get in line and stand in line for a long time. So it was kind of the equivalent of that, but on the internet.
Yeah, it was pretty wacky.
So I don't know if that will happen again this Thursday, but it might, and if it does, be assured that the software should be working properly, according to Sonia, my website administrator / stepsister. And those of you who we have contacted privately already via email who needed refunds because they bought a painting that somebody else bought or anything like that, we will be contacting you most likely on Wednesday to show you the new paintings that will be popping up so you can get a preview. That way you can get a first dibs on one, as kind of an apology for the fact that they sold out so fast. But if you've gotten an email like that, probably Wednesday will be when we contact you. But in the meantime, gotta paint these pretty. What's that, babe?
Yep.
Yeah, the Egyptian one, that's what I'm kind of working on now. I was working on her the same time as the little baby elephant when I started, because I was using a similar gesso tin, because she's going to have darker skin, and she's kind of in the woods there, so this one's going to be a zombie, so it's got kind of a blue-gray, dead-looking background. But anyways, I'm working on the Egyptian one, and Here is the picture that I'm sort of looking at for the same character. This is a concept art that we did for the Strangeling brand for Hamilton Collection / Bradford Exchange. It was a series of Egyptian queens with their cats. Kind of like how I did Medusa with her cat, or how she's not Egyptian, but I've done different famous characters holding cats, princesses with cats, etc.
Just across that little pond, though.
Yeah, that's true. It's not far from there. Or I have Sanira, the character, the Egyptian character I have.
Sanira is up on my screen right now.
Oh, is she?
That was funny.
Yeah. But anyways, we did a handful of concepts with the Bradford Exchange to do figurines of them. But since these exist only as like either three-dimensional sculptures or the computer concept art that the Bradford team do, there aren't paintings of all these. Now this one, instead of having her with the cat, we had originally done a concept art of her holding one of the, it looks like a shepherd's crook, but it's striped, and it's something that you see a lot of queens and kings and Egyptian murals, etc. holding. I forget the name of it. It's got an Egyptian name. I had her holding one of those first, kind of like a pharaoh thing. So
pretty cool.
Yeah, as opposed to the cat version of her. I think we did both versions as the sculptural concepts, and they were trying to see which one tested better. Probably the one with the cat, but I'm painting her more pharaonic portrait here. Hey, what's up?
I had a question.
Yeah.
Since it's so close to Dragon Con, will you bring any tiny treasures to Ren Fair?
Tiny treasures to Ren Fair? I don't think we've ever had them at the Ren Fair before. It's not even that it's close to Dragon Con. It actually is the same weekend of Dragon Con is when the Ren Fair in Kansas City opens, which is why I'm never there for opening weekend, because and my sister and her husband are there. It is literally Labor Day weekend every year. It has been for 30 years, same with Dragon Con. I've got to pick one or the other to go to, and Dragon Con's one weekend, and the Kansas City Ren Fair goes for a couple months. So if I have to miss one, I can't really miss Dragon Con. So I'm always at Dragon Con, and when I'm there in person, that's usually when I have the tiny treasures, because I paint them, and I usually bring them myself in a suitcase or my purse, or if I have a big coat, I'll bring them in my pocket on the airplane or something like that. So it would be where I am in person. So it would probably be just at the Kansas City Run, or at the Dragon Con.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense. Because I've never been to opening weekend at the Kansas City Renaissance Fair, not as an adult at least, because it's always Labor Day weekend, and Dragon Con is always Labor Day weekend. So when conventions or galleries ask me if I can come out to, we've got a show and it's going to be Labor Day weekend, or I've got this convention or that one and it's going to be Labor Day weekend, I already know that there are two things I'm supposed to bilocate and somehow appear at both, so that probably would not happen. Probably.
Yeah.
I'm going to limit myself, yeah.
Leela says, I know that Jasmine has a lot of projects to work on, but would Jasmine consider doing a sort of Dorian Gray style picture? In the future, I mean. You
know what? I have on my list of about 6,000 painting ideas, I think I have. This is literal. This is a real list I have. I have one called Dorian Gray with an A and an E at the end, and I thought that would be a neat idea for a painting. I don't know what it would look like, but it is definitely on my list. Also like Oscar Wilde. So.
I wonder if there's a play on Dory from
like Finding Nemo?
Yeah, and Dory.
But like Dorian Gray, probably online somewhere. The internet is a big place. I'm getting some of the colors that I had mixed previously. Those of you who watched before know I have many, many colors that I have mixed with, usually for tinting my gesso in the background, which make kind of a muddy neutral that I can blend in with the other colors in the painting to make sure it kind of looks more three-dimensional when I'm working on it, because it's going to blend in with the background, and I've got quite a few of those. Now, did you notice, Mandy, if there was another little jar that was here before you put the cameras up? Remember how you had to move some? Do you know?
I didn't move them. I
handed them to me. Is there another one over there?
The only thing I see is your varnish.
It's just varnish? Okay. Oh.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I really don't see
I've got a lot over here. This one is pretty close, so they're very subtle. It's kind of a nice gray-brown color. I'll pour that down. These are just mixtures of the existing golden fluid acrylic paints that most of my paintings are made out of. But I use them for blending things that I want to match the main kind of mid-tone on the paintings. Like if it's the shadow of what the skin tone is, I could either use this color and work up, meaning adding lighter colors like white or Titan Buff, or use it down by putting in browns or blues or purples or greens, and that would make more of a shade tone. So I like to pick a color that I think is kind of the mid-background color. If it's a mermaid, it might have a blue in it because she's under the water. If it was something at nighttime, it might have purple in it because it's moon shadows. Yeah.
Star1 BC says, I wish you could do a portrait of the wife from the Tower of Terror. Are they thinking of the movie star that's in the right?
Well, it shows there is the movie that Disney made.
They're all movie stars.
And there's the film, yeah, like in the little film they show you in Florida, like
Or I mean, yeah, I don't.
Yeah, well, there was an actual movie like you could rent at Blockbuster.
Wasn't Steve Guttenberg in that one?
I don't know. I don't think I ever watched it.
Direct-to-video Steve Guttenberg.
No,
I don't know.
That's his nickname, right? No. Sorry, Mr. Gutenberg. I don't.
Hi, I'm direct-to-video Steve Guttenberg.
Hey. You might like my artwork, Green. Wouldn't be the first person with a ride at MGM.
Well, I don't know if that's really his ride.
That's true.
That's like saying Eddie Murphy's ride
the Haunted Mansion.
Is the Haunted Mansion.
I don't know. The Haunted Mansion movie wasn't...
They're going to redo it, I know.
I've heard that. The part with the skeletons underwater was actually pretty creepy.
Yeah.
I thought. Especially for what age group it was suggested for. Remember at the time thinking, oh gosh, if I was to show this to so-and-so, they would have been scared by that.
Well, I remember Theo at age 3 wouldn't watch The Goonies because of the title.
He was older than that then. He was like 5 or 6. That was at New Year's at Amber's house, right?
Yeah.
He was
it
older.
Says Goonies.
You know what? When he was
not a monster.
When he was actually 3, you showed him the movie
Monster House.
Monster House.
Has anyone seen that movie, Monster House?
That is no spoilers, but it's kind of a creepy theme for a kids movie. And he was literally 3. And remember, he was eating like macaroni or something in our living room here, and he like was bringing up his fork to his mouth, and he started watching the TV, and he kept his hand up like this the whole time because he was just staring at the movie and was scared by it. He didn't even take a bite. He just kept his hand up there. It's not that scary of a movie, but it was scary for a 3-year-old. I can talk about him with impunity because he's probably not watching Twitch because I think he's on a Boy Scout canoe camping extravaganza. Huh?
I said impunity.
Yes. So I'm just making my palette here, mostly with a bunch of neutral colors because I'm going to start working, since this one's basically finished. I've been working on shading her hands, her arms, her skin tone, makeup, etc. These 2 here, I don't normally do 4 paintings at once, but you know, I've got a bunch of paintings to do, are going to be based off of the colors that I've mixed in with those 2 gessos. In this one, I'm thinking zombie theme on this one, but this one I want to more or less match the main character that I used in my line art for the pin design before. For Bee Princess, and she's so cute. So right now, if you look at my palette, these are all, 4 of these are colors that I have made myself just out of the golden fluid acrylics. A couple of these are just lighter neutral tones like white and Titan Buff, Naples Yellow. Got quinacridone, nickel,
these
azure
are basically
gold,
staples,
purple,
right?
Yeah, Van Dyke brand, umber. That's another one I made. I made a few of these. I kind of wish I could make a bunch of these and just buy them already made, but...
Will there be custom minis available for auction on Twitch coming up, Jackie?
Probably when we are in Kansas City, I might do that. We will, let me think. We'll be up there starting around the 4th of July, working out of my Kansas studio, and then going through pretty much all of July we'll be working out of my Kansas studio. So when we are there, I don't have my big easel there, so I tend to do smaller pieces, so I would be more likely to do custom minis around then. So yeah, some of you here might have seen me do the custom mini auctions where I just start working on something and you can tell me how to finish it, etc. These aren't them. These are ones that I'll be finishing and they'll just be for sale later on my website. But as far as custom ones, I would guess not next week, but maybe the week after. I think we broadcast Twitch a few times. Actually, the first time, Maddie, that we did a custom mini auction on Twitch was in Kansas City, remember?
Yes.
I'm taking right now Titan Buff, a bit of white paint, Naples Yellow, and 2 of the tones that I've made myself that are just kind of gray neutrals that I'm using for the shadows of the flesh tones. And I'm going to start building up the line art on this little pretty to make it look more three-dimensional. I'm putting highlights on the areas. If you were to look at somebody's face and they look vaguely humanoid, they're going to have the cheeks are going to poke out, the forehead's going to stick out, the nose is going to stick out. Not as much on a lot of people because my characters tend to have little button noses. And also I'll be putting some darker colors on there too in the shadowed areas. This is just a golden Taklon plain brush. I'm starting to run out of my clear grip ones. These are the same fibers, but they're on a wooden brush. I don't like these as well because the paint flakes off.
That is awful.
They have a painted handle for a brush you're supposed to leave in the water half the time. It's obviously going to fall off pretty quickly. I've thought about just dipping them in paint remover or something and just using them as is, but then they get all splintery. But yeah.
Have to sand them each time.
Yeah, I know. And then you get to sand them, and then it turns into a woodworking project, and the whole point of it costing $1.99 defeats the purpose. When I'm putting these lighter tones on here, I'm thinking about where my light source is, and this isn't a very big, complicated painting. It's more of like a, little school portrait wallet size that you're going to have. But looking at this, I'm going to say, the light is probably going to be coming from her upper right or upper left-hand side here, because she's looking up as if the viewer is looking at her. If you make the light source appear to be where the viewer, which would be you or I or anybody looking at the painting, is looking at, then it will seem to have a more extreme level of depth to it, a bit more three-dimensionalness. A sculptural quality. Let me scoot her over a bit better. Yeah.
Make My Clay says, are these paintings for Patreon exclusive?
These are going up to the section of my website, strangeling.com, which is the Patreon accessible section. So you do need it's only for, you just have to get the password. It costs $1 because it is a subscription to Patreon. But once you're there, you can use the password and you can use it all you want. And these will pop up on Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And I'm hoping to have several others finished by then. I've got a whole bunch of minis that, they haven't necessarily been cut down on the right side of wood yet, but things like sketches and concept art and stuff that I've done over the years, or the color roughs that I can totally clean up and turn into a presentable, nice painting and put a frame on it. And that's what a lot of the minis that you will be seeing on my website, they might not necessarily be things that are prints, but they might be like this one. It was the idea, it was a pin design, or this one was just a cute elephant, or this one was a concept design we ended up not doing for a Hamilton project. So it's kind of a way to get a unique, actual, original hand-painted painting for a bargain, comparatively. I know it's not a bargain for everybody, but compared to the big paintings there, I am doing my best to keep them reasonable, which is part of the reason I am putting them up on my website instead of eBaying them, because if you put things on eBay, who knows what they're going to go for, which is great. But I can do that with other paintings all I want, but I'm trying to keep these at a specific amount.
Jasmine.
Yeah.
Vampy923 says, maybe try Ross. They sell some plastic handle brushes.
Oh, I thought Ross sold dresses or something.
Yeah, they do.
Remember Kieran Bed had that dress that she was wearing? Kieran Bed?
Yes.
At DragonCon, and everybody kept asking her where she got her dress, and she's like, I got it at Ross.
Pretty sure she pronounces it bod.
Bod. Baade. If you don't know her artwork, you should. She's fantastic. She's one of my favorite living artists.
Interest, not sure if you've already mentioned, so sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
But what is that painting in the upper right? Looks like a fairy.
This one here is the one that I'm working on. I've just done the line art, basically just looking at this and copying. It's a little bit different, but it's very similar. The one that was the Bee Princess, she was a pin design.
More upper right. She's referring to the printout, I think.
Oh, yeah, this isn't a painting. This is just like the printed out advertisement that we used for a test market for a Hamilton collection Egyptian character with kitty cats. We did a couple versions of her. One of the concepts we did originally was her more as like a pharaoh, and she was holding like a staff instead of holding a cat. So I was thinking about doing a mini version of the original concept that we had, but the kitty cats ones were better and they tested better as far as the market goes. So I'm probably going to change the colors so it matches the original one.
Yeah, usually
I liked her hairstyle.
Have a white border around her paintings.
Yeah, well, not usually, but yeah, these are just pieces of paper here. Maybe I should move them up further. I don't want to confuse people or think it's something I can buy.
Kendra said it looked like it was on canvas.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. On the upper right, was that the one she was talking about?
Yeah, that's what she was
gotcha.
talking about.
Yeah, I should probably scoot those up higher. Usually, if I have reference pieces, I like to show them once or twice and then hide them out of the way, because if people are just joining the room, they don't necessarily know, like, hey, what's that? Did you just paint that? I'm like, no, that's some Disney thing that I did, the design for or whatever. But she's the one that this one is kind of based on. I liked her hairstyle, so just for reference and to keep kind of a consistency within the brand, as if these are characters that kind of exist in the Strangeling universe, because they are. That if there are statues of something, there might also be a portrait of them. They might also be in a different pose sometimes, and maybe they have their cat with them sometimes, but not always, and etc. Or sometimes they have a baby elephant. So I didn't really think about which one I was going to show off on Instagram and Facebook, and I just picked the elephant one, but it seems like people like that one. Yeah.
Tigger just read that you want to do a new vinyl doll.
Yes, I do.
What will she be?
Well, there are a couple things that are hopefully going to happen with that. Firstly, I want to use the same mold that we used for the Alice in the Starry Night vinyl doll, the first Strangeling vinyl that we've done, the only one we've done so far. I would like to do an alternate, like a variant on it for the Patreon folks that is kind of like her, but it's painted like at the easel, since she's holding a palette. I thought about making the easel blue and giving her hair like mine and a little... She's wearing an apron because she's Alice in Wonderland. It's really a pinafore, but if you made it green, it would kind of look like the at the easel pin, which people really like a lot. So I wanted to do a limited run of the vinyls that are the same mold as the Alice, but are in that color scheme. And then the next one, we are trying to think, and we welcome any suggestions, as far as the small vinyl dolls, a character that we could use. The molds on those cost between $10,000 and $15,000, and I have to pay for it out of my own pocket. So I would like to use the mold that I could have different color schemes with, because the color schemes, I can pick different color schemes and put them on. They're kind of like with the pins, except many tens of thousands of dollars, etc. But I'm thinking about doing some sort of maybe a fairy design or something where we could do 2 different versions of it, or maybe even 3 or 4, like a day and a night version, like Sunchild and Moonchild, or a fairy that maybe there was a regular fairy and there's a zombie version. You can see why people like Pop Funko vinyls, why they keep the same mold so many times, because it costs so much to make, but they'll just change the color. So I'm trying to think of characters of mine that would work with different color schemes, but the same actual shape.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes a lot.
And that's one of the things that's why if you're a Patreon person, that's our $10,000 goal up there is to make a new mold for those, and to make one that only the Patreon people can buy and say, hey, you guys can get the zombie one and everybody else gets the regular one, and anybody can buy the regular one. But I want to make something special for the people who helped us out there. that is the plan. But I'm liking suggestions for that. A lot of people have suggested things like seated characters, but we need one that is standing. They need to be about the same size. The head needs to be about the same proportion of the body. Things like mermaids don't make a lot of sense because it's hard to make a mermaid standing up that you could use multiple times.
Jasmine,
yeah.
Speaking of mermaid, Katie Tully says, do you think you would ever do a mermaid-themed mini painting?
Oh yeah, I've done probably 200 of them. I've done quite a few. I don't know if I've done any here on Twitch. I'm sure I probably have, haven't I?
Make My Clay says, did you already run out of the lunar...
Oh, Lunamoths!
Lunamoth.
I don't know. Have we, Maddie? I have not checked my email today.
We have 3 left.
We have 3 left. Oh my god. Yeah. Okay, well, those might go soon. For those of you who, you might remember, I don't think it's dark enough to make her glow in the dark. But she totally glows in the dark. She's so pretty. Lunamoths is the Patreon exclusive pin right now. For people who are already Patreon pin collectors, you've already gotten her, or she's on her way. If you are not, or were used to be, but you aren't currently a Patreon pin collector, this is the Patreon exclusive Lunamoths. She's a painting that I did for the Pop Gallery at Disney World, and she glows in the dark in different areas depending on which pin you have. Some of them, like the little moons in her hair, glow. Some of them, like the moths, glow. Some of them, her eyes glow. Some of them, everything glows, and she's lovely, but we only have 3 of them left. So people who were theoretically to join up at Patreon tonight, if you are one of the next 3, if not, don't yell at me. We've got another cool pin that you'll be getting in July, don't worry. And you'll get the June pin of the month either way, which is Orca Magic. And she's done. I don't think, was she ready last time? I think we just finished her. The actual finished pins last Twitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember I had the printout of her.
That's when we
So
just...
this is the June pin of the month. People can just buy her on the website, but you get her automatically if you're a pin collector at Patreon. And if you're a pin collector at Patreon, you also get whatever the Patreon pin is at the time. And the more that we come out with, the more you keep getting the Patreon-only pins also, which makes it worth your while.
Okay,
shipping, etc. Yeah.
Tigger says, how about the different seasons, like your Pop Gallery exclusives?
Yes.
As vinyl?
As vinyls. Maybe. I would have to change them significantly because they are all characters that are sitting down. So, and they kind of need to be standing up to be a doll so they don't tip over.
And Kimber says, I feel a fairy mold would be good because you do so many fairies.
I do.
Lots of options,
fairies.
I think.
Yeah. That's very true.
You can just... Cassie says, may I ask how many total were made of Lunamoth pins?
I don't really know. I don't know. There isn't really a way for me to always find out since some of them are...
Large amount?
Not a large amount. It was enough for... I'm trying to think. Usually at Patreon, we have around... maybe 800 people at Patreon, but not all of them are pin tier people, and they were the only people who would have gotten them, so it would be less than that. It would be however many people were pin collectors during that amount of time that we handed out. Some of them are from our London place, some are from Kansas City, and some of them are shipped to one of either 2 places in Florida, depending on where we're at, and we're mailing everything. But it seems like on Patreon, maybe there's 400 or 500 people up there at any given time are pin collectors.
Something like that.
And that's the only way you can get the exclusive. So if we are running out of them, there's like 3 left now, then it would probably be
right.
Around
it's chronological, guys. I'm not.
Yeah, it's chronological. It is very. We look at the timestamps of when people joined, what time of day it was. It was 2 minutes before midnight, and it was still June or it was July. We really have to look at that, especially last week, like with the mini paintings. I think that kind of reinforced that idea that's like, wow, sometimes things really do have to be in a queue and see what time it was. So I would estimate it was probably less than 500, probably more than 300 or 400.
So, Jasmine, what do you think of this idea here?
What's that?
Darwin BC says maybe a series of a different one a vinyl for each month.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
A lovely way to remember special events and birthdays, and it would also be a lovely way for Matt to rent 17 warehouses.
Yeah, I was going to say, that'd be a bit much for us to keep up with, and since they do cost between $10,000 and $15,000, and it's not a company paying it for, and not to make the actual statues, but just to make the metal mold thingies. But there is something that you might like that is made by the Bradford Exchange. Do you have a link to the perpetual calendar, Maddie?
Probably.
If not, you can probably Google it. Are they in the United States? If they're international, they have it at Enchanted Treasures.
I don't know.
And they ship worldwide. But
Starwood,
we have,
BC?
because we have actual statues. Yeah. They are resin figurines, like the heavier, like fancy hand-painted statues that we have. I've done a series of those that is one for each month. And it works with a wooden shelf system that is for a calendar. So you set, like there's a Halloween one for October and a Christmassy one for, well, a wintry one for Christmas, etc. And then it comes with little tiles that you put out the days of the month on it. And then it has a different thing that you change. And you can use it every year because that's why it's a perpetual calendar. It's little sculptures. It's actually pretty neat. So if you're looking for something like that, that would be a very good option for you. But yeah, as far as the vinyl dolls go, that would be I've spent about a year on the first one, so that would be a hard thing to do. They take a long time to produce. It'd probably be different if I was a company instead of a person, but I mean, I'm kind of a company too, but not really.
I just hopped on. What is the painting with the elephant?
Wow. Oh, yeah, the elephant one is cute. I'm glad I picked that one to show everybody on social media. This is a little mini painting with a baby elephant, because I love elephants, that will be popping up on my website, strangeling.com. It's a little mini painting. We're going to put her in a frame and varnish her and everything, and she will be available this Thursday at 7 p.m. She is so popular, I might end up doing, like I said, she's kind of a study for a potential larger painting, and if so, we'll have prints and all that. Yeah.
Shaylee says, you mentioned 4th of July earlier. This is a reference neither you or I will get.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
And I thought how cool it would be if Jasmine paints 11 from Stranger Things.
I have not seen
Somebody
Stranger
call Netflix.
Things.
I don't know what that means.
I have not. Is that a character? Well, I have a cousin.
It's probably the little girl character that has powers, I'm guessing.
Well, I wonder what Annie thinks about that.
I don't know.
I have a cousin whose last name is 11, like the number.
And Mimi's popping in and out.
She was born
and she
on
gave us hugs.
11/11. Oh, hi, Mimi.
If you're still here, Mimi, thank you so much. You could run a contest grand prize volunteering at Strangelings for the day.
Oh, really? Well, we might need
concerts.
We might. I don't know if it would be very fun to work for us. It's supposed to going to be putting things into envelopes and sending form letters to emails. But we might be looking in the future for some help at some specific conventions and stuff. So we will keep you posted on that. Yeah. We might need some help at DragonCon. So Atlanta area people, we might be hitting you up. We would definitely reimburse you for your time.
Yeah, if there's any Atlanta area people in the room.
Mostly for setup and takedown at DragonCon. We're going to be actively looking for people. We will pay you, and we will also give you free DragonCon pins, because you can have mine. We just need help setting up and taking down, basically. So even if you're there for DragonCon, as long as you're there like a day or two before or a day after, or if you live in Atlanta already, let us know, because
I think I have some friends lined up, but I can anyone.
We probably do, but we always need backup people for. It's not fun. It's going to be carrying boxes and unloading things, but we will give you money and pins. So
that'd be so cool to help. I think these guys don't understand.
It's
actual work.
Stressful. It is. It's more like working at Costco or something. It's not. It's not fun. It's not handing me paintbrushes or anything.
I think having if we were to have a contest or something, and
I would not. That would make me feel weird. No,
hear me out though.
No, I would. Okay.
If we were having a contest, not for this DragonCon or anything, where a fan would help out, I would already have the job set up, and it would actually kind of be pleasurable in some regard.
I think the person who lost the contest would be the person who has to work for us.
I
don't know. It is not. a lot of it is not. The painting is a fun thing.
Yeah, it's mostly me telling you, you're doing that wrong.
Yeah.
Hang that up there.
Yeah.
No, you have to hang up all these. Okay,
complicated talking to website companies about orders that haven't gone through properly and why the software is not working. At conventions. That's going to be.
If it's anyone helping us at home, I would need. I would vet that.
Oh, okay.
Because not everyone's suited for that.
Apparently not. But no, the convention would be pretty easy. It would be more like walking from a van to the convention hall / hotel, putting a box there, and just do that a million times.
Yeah, it's convention stuff.
It's not fun. Yeah. But you get some Dragon Con pins. But I can pay you with. I can give you money too. But we need some sort of help because we're in the past we've always been. For those who haven't seen us talk about it in previous episodes, we've always been down in the art show, which is a relatively small area in the basement of the Hyatt. This coming year, they've combined the art show and it's under the same jurisdiction as the people who are running the dealers / vendors room over in the America's Mart. And that's further away, and I'm not sure about the parking issue, and we have a much bigger area. It's like 30 feet wide, so it's many times larger than we're used to, and it's just Matt basically setting up because I think I have to fly in after the show has just started. I forget, there's something complicated happening. But, so it would be, a lot of carrying boxes. But we do definitely need help this year. And Matt might have some things already lined up. But if not, and you're interested, and you will either be at Dragon Con, including a couple days before, and it's maybe the night after.
It is, it's physically demanding.
It is physically demanding, so you've got to carry a heavy... I can't carry some of those boxes,
It's physically demanding.
It is. It's more something, again... It's more like working at a warehouse than it is doing fun artsy stuff.
We're not paying for any sort of airfare. That's what we're.
No, that's why. Yeah, no. People in Atlanta, I've already got to pay for my own airfare to get there. At least we don't have to bring the cats. Not that I don't like bringing them places, but often when we drive to Atlanta, it's because we're going up to Kansas City to our other house, and we have to have all three of our cats with us, and that's always fun during rush hour. Also, too, I don't know if it's an incentive, but you will get a badge as a worker if you come there, because we have
these people are
actually
they're glamorizing this idea too much.
Oh no, guys, no, don't. It's not good.
It's not what you guys think.
I don't know. Well, hey, to be fair, if you get some of those Dragon Con pins and then get paid too, that might be worth it. And a badge. I don't know what Dragon Con badges cost.
I would blacklist you forever.
Oh my gosh.
I will
hire people to make your life awful. Yes, I am not above that sort of thing.
No, I would really.
I really am not.
I'm serious too.
Yeah, I'm seriously people. Nope. Yes. It is. I would probably, and this just sounds like a jerk move here, but I would probably have you sign a contract and a non-disclosure agreement before doing so to make sure that you show up. So it would be a job.
Yeah.
In fact, something that my lawyer makes me do. I don't care about that.
My personal friends, rather than like people that are interested in Jasmine's artwork.
Yeah.
It's just easier that way.
But if anybody wants to help, let us know. We're taking backups. At any rate, I'm using the same color to highlight both the skin of the zombie girl I'm painting here. You can't tell she's a zombie yet, but in my head I can see her, she's a zombie. And then also the little bee girl here, the bee princess. The thing is, right now I'm not using a lot of color. It's going to look kind of like a marble statue because I've got highlights and lowlights, etc. that I'm working on. But I will be going through, not so much on the zombie because I want her to look like she's kind of dead. But the bee girl, if you look at the pin design, again, this is a printout of the line art I did for the original pin design. She's got kind of a peachy tan skin tone. So even though I'm using the same color to do the shading on the zombie girl as the bee girl is not going to look like a zombie. She's going to look Peachy Keen with her little suntan because I'm going to put some different warm tones on top of her after she has been shaded
Jasmine.
out. Yeah.
Amy said that she just boxed up that skeleton of the sail catfish.
Oh, excellent! I'm excited to see that. I have not seen that before, and I collect oddities and bones and many things like that, so I'm very excited for that. And I think a lot of those channel catfish, a lot of the different catfishes have very interesting skeletons, so
a lot of people said they've already set up for cons themselves.
Oh, there you go.
Amy says she has stagehand friends in Atlanta.
Oh, really? That's good. Well, it's good to know. We'll probably know a bit more when it gets closer to the date, like in the next few weeks.
What I'm concerned about is when I'm pulling the trailer.
Yeah.
Where to park the trailer?
I don't.
Because I don't have a problem with the van.
Has anybody here set up over at America's Mart before at DragonCon? I don't know if anybody in the room is an artist who does DragonCon or sells toys or video games at DragonCon or whatever, but if anybody knows much about setup, we're liking to hear about that because we've never had to set up at America's Mart. We've always set up at the Hyatt, and we've always stayed at the Hyatt, so we just take the elevator down or park in the valet parking that is like already in the basement. We're not sure what's going to happen with it. So any advice is welcome. I guess Carrie and them would probably know a bit about that.
Is it America's? Which one are they in?
That's the dealer's room. That's where I think Tammy's been up, or Deanna's been up there. Somebody else, Deanna's been up there.
Uh-huh.
So I do have some friends that have set up there before. I know that because they close an hour early and they come over to the art show and they're like, "Hi guys, nice not to be working, isn't it?" You know?
Right. Also, with the like some of the people that say, "Hey, I'd love to help you," I don't want to. I'll say my con experiences are probably very different than your con experiences, and I want you.
I've never seen the dealer's room, for example.
Right. Yeah. I want you guys to only enjoy cons.
Yeah.
And not think of them as work, because once you do that, it's a little different.
Well, this would not be people working at the convention. They would be setting up and taking down.
That's true.
So when the convention is actually open, they could go just walk around and do whatever.
Yeah.
And you get a free ticket. That's pretty nice.
We have a raffle in 4 minutes.
Oh wow! And this is for the Cruella keychain, correct?
Yep. Pretty sure. Let me double check.
I think so. Usually I do it kind of like at perceived value, and I know it's from Disney, but
yes, ma'am.
It is the less expensive of the price tags on them. So, oh, and she's so pretty. The only thing is you don't see as many of the sad puppies in this one as the painting.
But like if you only put one car key on that, you can start up your awesome 1940s looking mobile and just race down the street like Cruella.
Yeah, 50s. Yeah, that's a very 50s-y movie. Slash early 60s, yeah.
I totally agree. I used to help run events, like mini Comic-Cons and gigs.
Oh, gotcha.
And it is not glamorous.
It isn't. It's, again, it is more of the sort of jobs that a lot of people I know who do, union forklifting or something like that. It's more that than it is Hollywoody fun times. But
talking to 10 people for 10 hours a day is just hard.
No, that's not the part I'm talking about. I'm talking about the actual, finding where to park, waiting for 3 hours while some cop yells at you because you're not supposed to be parked there, or, stuff like carrying huge boxes that are bigger than you are, and people saying, "Can we help you with that?" And then they want money from you, and it's, I hate that sort of thing.
PNG says they play Russia's working man the entire time, by the way. Probably. That's what I am. Alright, I'm gonna get some cashews.
Go for it, babe.
I did not. The cashew didn't.
Gesundheit? Oh, okay. Have people said that to you before?
They did a long time ago.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I don't ever see the chat room, so I don't know what people are saying unless Matt says it out loud to me. But these here, if I show you,
The highlights.
Oh, there you go. That's what I'm working on now, actually. I'm doing the highlights on the skin tones. If you look at her on this side, you can tell her skin tone is a bit darker. Oh, thank you, babe. 2 cashews for me. Hot now. Yeah. like I was saying, she's looking up at the viewer, and this is meant to be a portrait piece. If it is meant to be like a kind of reflection, sad piece, I might have a character that's looking away from the camera, and then I would want the shading, the highlights to be on the opposite side of her face, so it draws attention to the fact that her pupils and her irises are looking away from the camera / viewer / companion, or you who are looking at her, basically. But her, this is meant to be kind of a portrait, and I'm going to make her a zombie, but she doesn't look super zombie-ish yet. She kind of looks like me if I didn't have blush on or something. And I have kind of done very similar as far as shading on her face, hands, arms, etc. This is an easy one because I've already got a picture to look at that I designed a year and a half ago. She was the July anniversary pin up at Strangeline last year. But I will be adding some clear tones on top of these that will change very much the colors of their skin.
Jasmine.
Just by looking at them. Yes.
That was Moobot saying, hey.
Oh, who won the Krilla?
Well, I have to find out.
Oh, you don't know yet? Oh. Uh-oh.
Open all the software here. Lady Dracula 666.
That is a great name. Congratulations, Lady Dracula 666. It sounds like you might get along with Krilla DeVille. But that is a pretty nifty keychain, and she's only available from the Walt Disney Company. So you've got to be at Disneyland, Disney World, or use a Disney shopping service like your WDW store if you live outside the country or can't go to California or Florida to buy her. I don't get to make those myself. I don't get them myself. I buy them at Disney World and I bring them to you guys. And I painted the painting, so that's pretty cool. Now it's probably because we're talking about Disney, and now I'm just thinking about Dumbo. I haven't seen the live-action Disney Dumbo movie, but everybody told me it was good that saw it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either. It had Danny DeVito in it.
Huh.
You know, I mean...
And so you already talked about Steve Guttenberg, now you're talking about Danny DeVito. You've got the A-list right there. No, that's fine.
Wait, how are
We're just talking about Disney artists, or Disney performers, and how those wouldn't necessarily be the first two that you thought of. But this is the deep tracks right here. I don't usually put a lot of pure white, like titanium white, in skin tones, unless I'm wanting a very directed light source. And I'm putting a little bit in the same color as I've mixed in the gesso of the background on these because I am going to be glazing over with a different color. Usually when I use plain white paint, like not adulterated anything, it's going to be something like a reflection or the sun or a candle. Whatever the brightest thing in the painting is, I will use pure white. But when I'm going to glaze over it with a darker or a more saturated hue of a color, then I will sometimes, because it's kind of like, it will look like a jewel coming through a piece of stained glass. It will look lovely. I promise. It might look kind of gray and boring right now. I'm going to get my hair dryer out real quick to make sure it's dry, so when I do put color on top, it doesn't look all smudgy and gross. No, it's been handy. Somebody was mentioning that they thought this one was a painting up here, and he said it doesn't usually have a white thing around the outside.
Yeah.
But my color proofs from Disney do the canvases.
Yes, they do.
They do. Usually they have something written like, not for sale, copyright Disney on them or something like that, but...
Because they're not for sale.
And I got the color up for Madame Leota, but I can't give her away until the painting actually comes out.
Gee whiz.
And there are a few people who are in the RSP for that. So for those, I'll show the Madame Leota for those who have not looked yet. I think I showed her up last time. Where is she? Oh, I didn't have her. I've got like stacks of paper everywhere. My office is a mess. Here we go. We're talking about Haunted Mansion. Madame Leota is going to be there in August 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. It's for several days, and I myself will be there on the 7th and 8th of the Haunted Mansion Disneyland California event that happens after hours. And they are selling the original painting I did of her, which is the one here in the background. And then they're also debuting merchandise. It's not just t-shirts and mugs. They've got all sorts of stuff like prints and postcards and magnets and all that sort of good.
That sounds
good
pretty
stuff.
cool.
And they're going to be debuting that at the Haunted Mansion event, and they're doing it via Disney's RSP software, which is a random selection process, since they have received more requests than things exist. If you're going to the special event and you're wanting to they basically do a lottery to see if you're allowed to buy something, which sounds ridiculous, but you kind of need to at Disney when it's this sort of thing, because there's only one original painting. Kind of like with the minis that I do, it's like there's only one of them, so you gotta get that. But I know a couple people have told me that they have put their RSP request in for the original Madame Leota, but it is random, so if you haven't yet, you can still technically do that. It's on my event pages. And they will have the other merchandise, and the prints and the canvases and the t-shirts and all that stuff will be in California and Disney World in Florida after the event. Not immediately after, but they're just debuting it at the 50th anniversary party for the Haunted Mansion, and then they'll have other stuff later, depending on what's left, I guess. I don't know as far as the limited editions, and of course the original painting, there's only one of them, and may already be sold.
That will be one spooky cup of coffee.
Yeah. It looks like it's the, you know how Disney makes a couple different styles of mugs, Maddie? Matt's bought almost, I think, one of each of my Disney mugs that has come out.
I love
this is the shorter, wider style of mug, as opposed to the angled kind of latte style. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they both hold a ton.
They both hold, like, I don't know, 5 cups of coffee.
Think. They're
big. Yeah, if you consider a cup of coffee as being 5 ounces, then yeah, they hold like 6 of them.
There are those crazy Disney mugs, though. I mean, I've seen them in other stores that I don't know how much they
that are like super. Well, those are made for like soda. I don't think those are made for like espresso.
They're
for coffee.
Yeah, they're huge.
I am not a coffee drinker, so I'm not a person.
Next time we're there, I'll show